Meet sailing yacht Avanti and her crew, Gerard and Jacqueline. We left Cape Town in December 2021 on our floating home, heading west on an adventure of a lifetime around the world. Welcome to Cairns. We have travelled quite a distance this year and finally we're back in civilization in this beautiful city. This week we get ready to leave the boat for a few days, travel to Adelaide, see some family and smash out the boat jobs.
We are just leaving Marlin Marina in Cairns, so it's quite expensive here, but we had to clear in here, so we spent 2 nights and we off to Yorkey's Knob or Half Moon Bay Marina, where it's cheaper, and we'll leave the boat there when we go and visit Jackie's parents. Oh sorry, Jackie's brother-in-law.
Not my parents. What's wrong with you?
We will leave the boat there when we go visit Jackie's brother. We are at Yorkey's Knob Marina, and coming in here is quite a challenge. There was like a sandbar building up, so you can see the dredge in the background. They are busy dredging the entrance, but it's extremely shallow. We didn't think it was that bad, but we were 2 hours after high tide and we just managed to come in, so you have to time it with the tide. So getting out of here, we'll have to have a high tide and time it right. Yorkey's Knob is quite a nice marina. It's a little bit outside of Cairns, but yeah, it's very nice. There's a big clubhouse and there's not that many boats, mostly fishing and power yachts, not that many sailboats. It's actually been named after a guy that used to fish here using dynamite and he actually, one of the dynamite sticks blew up in his arm, but this is way back when, and he managed to sail single-handed, with some pun intended, just through the night back to Cairns to get some medical help.
We made it to the airport. Now it's just one flight and we'll be with family. I'm so excited. I'm like bubbling inside. A flight and a 2-hour drive later, we were sleeping in square, non-moving beds. I was taking long baths and playing with my 2 nephews. I was emotionally drained after a year of sailing really long miles in rough conditions, and I cannot explain how much seeing family recharged us. We got spoiled with lots of red wine, red meat for Gerard and milk tart. All the goodies we cannot wait to enjoy once we're back in South Africa. It was sad to say goodbye after such a short visit, and we caught the bus back to Adelaide, where we'd have one overnight and catch the red-eye flight back to Cairns in the morning. To keep our minds off the sad goodbye, we went to the market first and drooled over all the things we haven't seen in this variety since Panama 7 months ago. The city of churches really impressed us, and something about it made us think of Cape Town. We can't put our finger on it, but the closed winelands might have something to do with it. We have to come back someday to sample the produce.
After walking around in the city centre, we did feel a little bit claustrophobic, and we are definitely not used to this, with all the people and the noise. So we decided to head over to the botanical gardens and spend the rest of the afternoon enjoying the grounds and looking at the colourful parrots and cockatoos flying overhead.
This has to be my favourite botanical garden we've seen so far. It even had its own vineyard and massive wine cellar.
We are 2 broke South Africans in Adelaide. So tonight we've got some coleslaw and we're eating with a cracker because I forgot to grab a fork. We've got an avo. We did find a knife in the hostel, so that helped. some hummus, some bread, and a camembert. And then there was a cheap brute bubbles. So we're celebrating a last night in a square bed before we're back on a hunting.
Last night in South Australia.
Last night in South Australia.
All the time spent on land made us really grateful to be back.
We got our Genoa back from the canvas guy, and yeah, he stitched up the umbrella. We'll have a look when we hoist it to see that it's all good. So one of the things I wanted to check while we're in Cairns was just to check how the diesel day tank looks. We cleaned it in Panama, which is about, I don't know, 9 months ago. There was a lot of biological growth in there. So there is an inspection hole, and I bought some new gasket material to replace the inspection hole gasket when we removed it. But I've noticed some black, looks like rubber strips in the tank. And I suspected the rubber that we bought in Panama was not nitrile rubber, but that's what I asked for, and it was kind of on the receipt. So I've seen now that the rubber is really degraded a lot. It's almost dissolved in the diesel. So yeah, it's time to take that rubber out. We got some new rubber from a supplier in Cairns, which is suitable for diesel. Hopefully this time it's the right stuff, but I have more confidence here than I have in the suppliers in Panama City. I've removed the diesel tank inspection whole gasket cover, and as you can see, where the rubber or the gasket was in contact with the diesel vapor or the diesel, it's basically just disintegrating. So these pieces were falling into the diesel tank and could get sucked up by the engine. It would end up in the filters, but it could clog the hose. So I'm glad we saw this. So I need to make a replacement gasket out of the new rubber material and put it back in.
The new gasket went in successfully, and it was time for a rigging inspection.
I'm just doing a quick mast inspection before we leave Cairns. You can see we have quite a nice view here at the marina with Avanti down below. As you can hear, it's quite windy up here. You can see Yorkey's Knob clubhouse in the background with the huge solar rooftop installation. I must say the clubhouse and restaurant is quite nice. With nothing weird spotted on the mast inspection, all looks good for our trip from Cairns further up the north coast of Australia. As always, not my favorite place to be, but it has to be done.
We have eaten almost through everything before arriving in Australia, so it was my time to shine and do a massive shop for all the basics. These supermarkets had some of the cheapest cans and other things like chocolates we've ever seen.
So we're using the bus service for the first time in Cairns, and it's quite cool. You just tap your phone at the pole and it tells you how far the bus is out. This one is 2 minutes late, so we were worried. So that's quite cool. It's the first time we see this wherever we travel. We finally found some kangaroo meat. It's been under our noses in the supermarket all the time. So we've got some patties. You get like fillets and all sorts of meatballs. So we're going to barbecue it here at the Cairns Lagoon, where there's free barbecues for the public to use. Good. Tastes like maybe a little bit of ostrich, but very lean meat, so good and healthy.
I can't believe it's our last day at Yorkey's Knob. I've really been struggling with that word. I've been saying Nobbley's Bob and I don't know what else. Yorkey's Knob. And it's time for us to head to the Great Barrier Reef. Hopefully we'll be able to do 2 stops on the way to Thursday Island, and then we still actually don't know if we're clearing out in Thursday or Darwin. We have to see what happens with the weather. It is getting close to cyclone season, so if anything comes through early, it might be chomping at our heels, so that's sad. But Cairns has been really lovely. I would actually not mind at all to stay longer, but unfortunately we do have a cyclone season coming up and this is not safe. Or I mean, there is marinas and stuff, but we don't want to be caught in a cyclone anyway. And then also the marinas have been expensive, but grocery wise, Australia was not as expensive as people said, and it really was lovely. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Comment and subscribe would also go a long way to helping us. Join us next week as we finally go up to the Great Barrier Reef. We're really grateful for our patrons who support the making of these videos monthly. If you'd like to join them, please click on the link in the description below.